Mayor Dave Morandi.
Here.
Trustee Lynn Miller.
Here?
Trustee Marie Early.
Here.
Trustee Francis Murphy.
Here.
Trustee Steve Bellotto.
Here. Thank you. Welcome everyone to our monthly meeting. Gonna take things a little bit out of order here and go through some good news before everyone leaves. To get some of this out of the way. Over the last few months, I know probably about a month or so ago, we had this onslaught of lawsuits, and and there was a lot of concern and people going back and forth about how the world's coming to an end. But anyway, over the past month or so, a number of those have been dropped. Most notably is Paul Galaros, who is suing myself, individuals, and boards for attempting to derail the Butterfield project. We received notice from his attorneys that they would discontinue the case with prejudice. Ellen, how do you pronounce her name? McGeehan. Also was withholding signing off on a final payment after her resignation. She recently contacted us and we sent her new documents and she signed. So, a letter we did receive from her attorney, it seems like that's been settled also. Kenneth Trimble III, who has more losses against me in the village than I can keep track of. One was for discriminating because of age during the hiring process. That was dismissed. One was for discriminating because of military status. That was withdrawn at the 11th hour by Mr. Trimble, who is now threatening to sue in federal court. So a number of those I thought I'd mention because at the time it was, we really were I was putting the village in a very bad position. So a number of them are over. We have a few more that we're working on, which I feel totally confident that will also be dismissed, but we have to go through the process. On other good news, Nick Groombridge and Kim Connors, who are the owners of Groombridge Games on Main Street and the old VFW on Kemble Avenue, once again said that they would sponsor the fireworks for the 4th of July.
That's excellent news.
So this year it'll be under the old VFW, which is the newly renovated VFW hall down on Kemble Avenue. So that's a good start for the next year's 4th of July. And unexpected because Nick said he was going to do it for a couple of years. Trustee Early negotiated additional money from C Street to cover an additional police officer who will be on foot patrol on Main Street during the days C Street docks. And so C Street agreed to pay for the cost of the additional officer, which was much needed. So thank you, Marie. Annual senior picnic at Mayor's Park, I thought was a great success, and I just wanted to thank Trustee Miller for organizing, and she secured $1,700 in prizes that were raffled off. I also wanted to thank Officer in Charge Larry Burke, who was off duty but helped the whole day. Thank you, it was much appreciated, Larry. And thank you for the Cold Spring Fire Company for once again lending tables. Also, I received a phone call from the Governor Cuomo's regional representative informing the village that we'll be receiving $215,000 grant for clean water. The grant was written for the Market Street sewage pump station and for the Market Street sewer and pump station replacement. The grant we wrote was for like in excess of $800,000. And although we didn't receive the total amount, we will be receiving $215,000 to help offset that. So
Great.
That was great news. The firehouse roof project's finally advertised last Wednesday. The bid package was way more complicated than I anticipated, and so I do apologize. I finally got it all together after discussions with attorneys and a lot of other people in the know. It was put in last Wednesday, and as of today, we haven't had anyone pick up the bid package. If you know anyone interested or any interested parties, have them contact the village clerk. Yes, the bid package.
What's the deadline? What's the bid opening date?
I forget that it's, I forget what we had in there. It's short notice. We have it's like a week from now.
Okay.
So it's a quick turnaround. Hopefully we can get it done in time because glues are used and winter's coming. So keep your fingers crossed and get people to put bids in. The tectonic report for the upper dam was finally submitted. I'm sure Greg will touch on that. Jen Zorick, I'm sure I don't want to steal her good news, but a number of the tree guards were installed, so I'll let her, she can elaborate on that. And just today, Greg and I and Bart Clark and Trustee Bellotto met with the regional rep, Dylan Mayoshi, from the governor's office, in hopes that he could put a little pressure on his office, so the governor's office could put some pressure on the DEP and get the aqueduct connection agreement done. It's taking us, I think Bart said, from 2011. We've been working on this. It's been back and forth. It's costing us money for attorney's fees. It's costing a lot of time for Bart's input, because he's the one that's kind of been doing a lot of the back and forth and the technical parts of it, and a lot of Greg's time doing the same. So hopefully that he can put some pressure on. He said that he would get back to us by the end of the week, so see how that works. So those are a lot of great things that I think happened recently. I wanted to get those out of the way now and before everyone fell asleep the rest of the meeting. So financial report, not that we fall asleep for that.
Oh, if you fall asleep, it's fine. There's nothing too exciting going on. Tax collected through the end of September is still at 95%. We only got one more bill in, so I don't anticipate us receiving much more from residents themselves until probably January, when we send out the final notices. And then if whatever we don't receive by January 31st, we send over to Putnam County, and they will make us whole for whatever remaining outstanding that we did the tax warrant for. The independent auditors were here for barely 2.5 days. They seem to think that everything's going well so far. They'll have a report for us hopefully by the end of October. I'll have some time to review it, and then they'll come in for a meeting in November to do a presentation. That you can fall asleep for. Off the record, talking to them, they didn't find anything substantial. It still has to be reviewed by management, but they don't see anything to write us up for, which is always a good sign. Not that I think there should be, but they're confirming that the finances are okay. The village did receive $18,000 from New York State. We get it every year. It's the aid to municipalities. Small village, we get a small share of it. There's a budget transfer included, resolution, just moving a few funds around within the insurance from from workers' comp insurance to unemployment. Unemployment we have to pay as we go, so that's a hard item to budget for because you don't know who's going to be claiming unemployment. We did have some staff turnover, and he has yet to find another job, so we have to pay. Also moving money around to cover the trailer. There's some savings in the vital statistics stipend, building inspector, and shared services. Health insurance, we started charging the retirees. There was one who had not paid for the first quarter. He has made that right and has paid both the first quarter and the second quarter, and the rest of the second quarters are starting to trickle in. So everyone's paid pretty much to date or on track to pay. Last big thing, I guess, is the Main Street project. Contech, the construction company, finally submitted their final bill. Finally. So now that that's done, CHA, our consultants, can finalize their stuff. We can finalize the changes with Doreen and hopefully make whatever change orders necessary to make it work for everybody. And then we can get the rest of the money from the state, because we're on hold with that. They've given us 80% of the project, and we can't get the rest until we finalize the paperwork. And there is one other thing that isn't on the agenda, because I got an email about it today. There's a new law in New York State called the Paid Family Leave Act. It starts January 1st. Private employers are not eligible to opt out of it. But as a municipality, you would have to opt into it. Now the coverage is to charge employees to have the ability to have insurance so that if they wanted to take leave concurrent with FMLA, so it's either for a child or an adoption or you have to take care of a family member, you can get paid to take this time off and it secures your job. Right now, starting January the first year, it's an 8-week max and it's 50% of the person's salary up to the state cap. Right now, it would cost $1.65 to every employee per week. That rate will probably change as the insurance gets better. By the time Cuomo's bill is enacted in probably 2021, it'll be up to probably roughly 65-70% of their salary, and the cap will go up, and it'll be for 12 weeks. We're not enrolled in this. We will not automatically be enrolled in it because we are public. But it's something that is coming from the insurance companies. They're probably going to send us a quote for it. But the idea behind it is that it should be 100% employee paid. The only problem is that the employee can't choose. It's all employees or none. The only exception is seasonal workers, so the summer help, but it includes part-time people too. And the $1.65 is the max. It's a percentage of their salary. There's not much more information. I've been in talks with Kieran. He finally got back to me today at Spain. And that's the best information he can offer us, is that we don't have to. But our insurance company is sending us letters assuming that we're going to do it, but I'll make sure that we don't unless we make a decision to do it. But it is supposed to be no cost to the village. It's only a cost to employees.
What is the deadline by which we need to make our decision?
January 1st.
And it's a percentage of salary, so the max is $1.65.
$1.65 a week, yes. If you make less, it could be less. It's like 0.01 something percent.
And then the payment comes out of insurance, the payment if they.
So the employee pays the village, we deduct it right from their paycheck like we deduct
Right.
taxes. The village would be responsible to pay the premium either semi-annually or annually, up front, and then we recoup the $1.65 a week.
But if someone takes advantage of this and is out, and who's.
The $1.65
No, I
covers
mean
it.
the money itself, the salary itself that's being paid.
It's through the insurance. The insurance.
Through the insurance.
It's a rider to the disability insurance policy.
Okay.
So it would, the village has, like with workers' comp, the village has the option to pay that extra percentage if they wanted to, but is under no obligation to. It's whatever the insurance company.
Currently FMLA, if they don't have any more paid PTOs home, they have to go with no money, right?
Yes, FMLA only guarantees that you'll have a job in 12 weeks and hold your position. This Paid Family Leave Act can run concurrently with FMLA, or there's talks about it could be run after. And then so in that case, it would extend job security for the employee, but doesn't extend money or anything like that. They could take their PTO with the FMLA and then take this. So it's just, it's kind of springing it on, but I don't have much information. That's all I have. So even if I waited, Spain Insurance doesn't have much either. They gave me a one-page cheat sheet, and that was all that was on it, is that we don't have to do it. But I wanted to put it out there as the option.
So when we get more information, you just send that or something,
Mhm.
we can actually put it on.
The way it
discuss
seems like the program's working is that they're targeting private sectors because it's mandatory. So there's a lot of information on the web and from the state about what a private employer has to do. The only thing it says about what public has to do is we have to opt in if we want to, but we don't have to. It's the only information really.
And Kieran has offered a while ago to come in and address the board for any issues that we have, so we may want to bring him in maybe later in November.
And there's not even the option to get quotes for it yet, to make sure that the employee share would cover it. So that, I filled out a paperwork last week for it, and the quote will come when the bill comes, and it'll say, do you want to buy it, pretty much. Like with some things at the state, it's rolled out after the start date. Any questions about the financial reports?
Nice
Right.
job.
Just wanted to add that in talking with the auditors, Jeff said that they were very complimentary on the work you did. They said it was a job well done, so
Okay.
thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Thank you,
They were
Michelle.
impressed.
And then Jeff and I, once they finish their final report, will work on an RFP. So they said they'll bid again,
Oh, right.
but we have to put it out to see if there's any other companies that want to do it. All right. All right, thank you.
Thanks very much.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Michelle.
So now we have our resolution 28-2017. I have a motion.
Make a motion to approve resolution 28-2017 for budget adjustments.
I will second that. Discussion? Michelle just laid it out fairly clearly. So it's a roll call. Tom?
Mayor Dave Morendi.
Here, or yes, sorry. Here
Trustee
and
Lynn
yes.
We
Miller.
know you're here.
Yes.
Trustee Marie Early.
Yes.
Trustee Francis Murphy.
Yes,
Trustee Steve Bellotto. Yes.
and we're all here.
Okay, thank you. Back here. We have a recreation report, or a monthly reports, recreation report submitted by Bruce Campbell. Recreation met on Tuesday, the 19th September, approved the request for Haldane class trip lunch at Mayor's Park on October 11th. Approved the request from the Cold Spring Chamber for their annual parade, October 28th. Approved the request for the Cold Spring Turkey Trot on November 23rd. I will speak to the requester. Discussed a request from Lithgow Osborne from Magazzino Italian Art for November 4th. That was approved. It's a great ball rolling. Wedding on November 11th at the bandstand, 12 people. I discussed with the groom and approved. Wedding planned for October 7th, canceled due to illness of groom's mother, asked for refund.
On that one, I spoke with Bruce about it because we had to coordinate with the C Street. And Bruce said that they were going to reschedule.
Okay.
I also think that we need to look at the contract. Does the contract say that the fee is refundable? I mean, they can ask for a refund, but what did they sign up for? I'll follow up.
I have a little bit of a heart left, Marie, and I would give them their money back.
I wouldn't.
I know you wouldn't. Larry, is the parade covered, or have you discussed that with Bruce, so it's the usual?
I did discuss it with Bruce, and it will be covered, it will be covered.
There was some comments last year about like Pine Street not being closed off, and some of the other streets were, and I don't know, are you blocking off any other streets?
We haven't gotten to the final on that yet. I will get together with him to see exactly what he needs. I do believe it's gonna be like closed for maybe less than 5-10 minutes. Are you talking about for the ball roll?
No.
I'm
For,
sorry.
for,
Oh, the Halloween parade?
well, not for
No,
the
no.
parade, for Halloween itself, sorry. I
Halloween.
Yeah.
interrupted.
Parrot Street.
Oh, Park Street, yeah,
Yeah,
we're
I'm
gonna
sorry.
close off, the regular streets.
Alright.
And I was thinking about possibly closing off, the Pine Street also.
Where they connect.
Yep.
Okay. Sorry, I jumped.
Yeah, I didn't know where you were going with that.
Yeah, sorry. I have a habit of doing
But Yankees don't play tonight, relax.
that.
Tomorrow.
Planning board, we do not have anything from. Zoning, we do not have anything from. Anything from Phillipstown?
Yeah, I got a couple things. Good evening, everybody. We just had a meeting with Roper McGovern regarding the climate smart communities. As I mentioned last month, we're moving forward with that. We met with her and went through the process of what we need to become a climate smart community. And the first thing was passing a resolution, which we did a few months ago. The second thing we need to do is appoint a climate smart community coordinator. We have a couple of people, candidates that are interested in that, and we'll probably be appointing a candidate probably over the next several weeks. All the paving has been completed up in North Highlands and in the Continental Village. There's quite a few roads that were paved. The annex building, which is the new building department, has been coming along really, really nicely. It's we're at a point with sheet rock, ready to paint relatively soon, and we plan on having it completed by late November, early December timeframe. Also, I think the building department is working out well between us, between Phillipstown and the Village of Cold Spring. It seems to be working out really well.
We wanted to have a meeting with David and Greg, just to discuss that.
Okay.
So I'll work with Jeff to get that set
Sure.
up.
Okay, very good. Well, I think it's going fairly well, unless you have some other things.
No,
like that.
same feeling.
Okay, very good. Also, too, we're looking at up at the building department up there in Fishkill Road. We've been leasing a trailer over the last several years. So we're looking at building a new building for the superintendent of highways and his staff. So we looked at real closely at that. We have our engineers looking at it now. So the plan is to hopefully build a new building and get rid of that temporary building we've had there quite some time. As we were discussing that too, we were also possibly looking at redoing the garage up there. The garage is pretty old and in pretty bad shape, but not saying we're going to do that right now, but we're looking into a possibility of replacing that garage as well. I've been reporting on Man Station Road. I haven't heard anything from the last several months. We're still waiting on permits from DEC, which is getting a bit ridiculous now. We've been waiting an awful long time. But to tell you the truth, we're going to go forward anyway without the permits, to at least to get the critical part of the road up to grade where it needs to be, so we can, if it does flood over the winter time, we'll hopefully prevent that. So we're going to move forward with that as well. Also, the cell tower has been proposed up on Vineyard Road off of Route 9. They did finally approach us, and we are looking at an alternative spot for that cell tower on an old landfill. We met with our engineers last week. They came up with a spot. I know they went up there, I think it was Wednesday or Thursday last week. I don't know what the outcome of that was, but I know they met up there. So it's a possibility they may move it over there. We don't know yet, but it's kind of early stages in that also. Also, we're starting our budget season. We have a bunch of workshops set for this week. Right now, we're going to be under 1.8% cap, and our budget right now is projected to be $10,790,000, which is only $290,000 more than it was last year. So we're in pretty good shape like that. Besides that, I'm done, and go Yankees.
Okay, Historic District Review, submitted by Al Zaglinski. Current applications. During the month of September, the review board received numerous applications, so they required a total of 3 meetings to properly process. The meetings were on September 13th, 20th, and 27th. Applications that were considered: 101 Main Street, proposed sign; 26 Garden Street, major facade changes; 224 Main Street, facade changes; 16 Stone Street, door replacements; 18 Stone Street, new fence; Butterfield proposed revisions to building number 3. There were 2 applications which included demolition of structures, and therefore the review board deemed to be the review board deemed to be a secret type 1 proposal and claimed lead agency status. That's 126 Main Street and 35 Market Street. The review board voted during the September 20th meeting to recommend to the village board the firm of AKRF Environmental as consultant on the review of the EAF long form. In addition, a number of applicants requested workshop sessions to facilitate their process for applications. 32 Market Street, workshop on ideas for possible changes. 20 Boulevard, proposed demolition of an existing addition and reconstruction of the historic main building. The review board conducted a site visit on October 1st as part of this application. Since this is part of the National Register of Historic Places listing, it appears that this may also be a secret type 1 application. Ordinance update. The review board received comments from the Board of Trustees on the proposed revisions to Chapter 64 of the Village Ordinance. We anticipate meeting with the trustees commenting to resolve these comments. The next step would be a public hearing held by the Board of Trustees and then a vote to adopt the changes. Design standards update. The review board is currently working with Steve Tilley, the consultant, on updating this document. Phase 1 is now complete. After the last joint meeting, work on portions of the document was assigned to various parties based on who would be best suited to develop the specific topic. We have finalized our portion, and they were turned over to the consultant. The consultant is working on a first draft. The review board is in the process of preparing a report for SHPO on the project. Okay. Fire company, anything?
Evening. Just the roof you already took care of, thank you. And then the only other thing that we were gonna have to discuss, if possible, would be the money owed from Nelsonville. I know we've been talking about it, and I don't know where we're at with it. It's still 34,000 still outstanding, and 2 months left.
The last, after we had talked, I sent a letter to the mayor, Mayor O'Neill, saying we would like to continue negotiations. We asked if he could strike from his request there that it was half of the total, so that the payment would represent a portion instead of half. He said that he was not going to negotiate under terms, so under conditions. So I guess that meant that unless we just wanted to negotiate, he wasn't going to do it with removing that. So that's the last we've heard from him. I've been in discussion with our attorney to see what we can do with that, but we haven't come up with an answer yet. I mean, I talked to just recently a person from East Syracuse, a mayor there, that was under a similar situation, but it turned out to be not quite as close. So, yeah, negotiations are stalled. We offered to meet. We asked if you could just, you guys could sign that check on the condition that it was partial payment. To me, if you did that and they could not pay the second payment if they weren't satisfied. So I don't know what to hold up. You have a trustee from Nelsonville here. You might want to ask him.
Yeah, I mean, I think the thing is with us is we're gonna need the money for operating costs. Is there any way the village, because there is a check in, right? You did
There's
send
a check, and there's gonna be another one very soon.
Which we will also not cash if it says that it's what it is.
Yeah, I'm just wondering if, then can the village, I guess, is there a way for us to receive our money from you, like 34,000, if you have any contingency? They pay us for the services for the fire protection there, so we can cover our operating costs, and then kind of fight it out with them, I guess, after the fact. You know what I mean? Like, is there any way that we can continue to operate as a fire company, and then the two villages can just go at it at their own?
At this point, the contract which we've offered them, they will not sign, and they not continue to negotiate. So we have no money in our contingency for that. And I would say that I would contact, the mayor and the trustees in Nelsonville and ask them to, free up that first check. We can go into negotiations and before a second check is issued, and go from there.
Can I comment on that, Mr. Mayor?
Yeah, you certainly can.
Just a little bit. The reason that Mayor O'Neill did not agree to that rider that was on the negotiation offer was that it removes the concept of negotiation. If you're already agreeing that what you're paying is not sufficient, which is essentially what that was,
Right.
then there's no negotiation to be had.
No, that's not what it's saying.
We're not, yes, that it was not full payment.
Okay, well, you can continue, and I will counter that.
So, as far as we're concerned, we've paid the fire company. We're not really concerned with the amount we've paid to the fire company.
Can I just stop you for 1 second? First of all, you know this and I know this because of our discussions, that you're not paying the fire company, you're paying the village. The village
Exactly.
operates the fire company. So discussions, negotiations, payment run through us. So you did not pay them, you did not pay us.
There are two parts to this. One is for fire service, the other is for workman's comp and LoSAP. The workman's comp and LoSAP, in our opinion, is a negotiable item. So in terms of sending a check to the village of Cold Spring, which we did in good faith, with the idea that the fire company would get their money, and then if there are any other monies perceived to be owed by Nelsonville to Cold Spring, then we would actually sit down and negotiate those other monies. Signing away the right to negotiate was a non-starter.
But by signing it saying that this is half of a payment is saying that that the full payment is less than what the contract is. And then that puts us in the position of no negotiations. Because basically, you're saying this is what we're paying you. This is half of what we're paying you, which would mean the other half is coming, but the other, we're gonna negotiate, and what leverage do we have, or what negotiating powers do we have then?
That's the essence of negotiation.
Now, the essence of negotiation should be in good faith, and it should be between two villages that are very close, and with many friends between both of it, essentially the same thing. What we're asking for is a payment to our fire company, which does not exceed anything that they're billing us for. It's the exact cost of that. What we're asking you for is a payment so that they can continue operations, and then we can negotiate with the final payment. But if you're saying that that's half the payment, then where's the negotiation there?
Half the payment, again, two items. Fire protection, which there was an amount allotted within that check for fire protection. And then the other amount, which I think is the disputed amount, is for the ancillary costs that the village has associated with the fire company. There wasn't a dispute about what to pay the fire company. The other part we deem as negotiable. So that's what we've been trying to do. And most recently, the mayor did offer to have our board sit together, all the board members, and discuss our reasons for what we are doing and to hear your reasons as well.
Well, I didn't receive that letter.
We sent it out.
It must have been lost in the mail, because I didn't receive anything other than that he would not negotiate under terms.
But he has sent another one. You can give him a call.
Well, that's interesting. The thing that I don't understand, and which is really perplexing, is that the workers' comp is what's needed in order for the fire company to operate. So why would that be disputed? In order, they have to have workers' comp. That is not under our control. The raise in that cost was due to the insurance premiums going up, and not us. So that part of it, I think is really hard to argue, because that is needed to operate. The LoSAP, you can dispute that, but that is also something that is given to the fire company that for their operations and for what they're doing for us and for the two communities, because it's really a bargain if they all just say, well, okay, we're not doing this anymore, and I think you all understand that. So again, this is a number that goes up that we don't have control over, and that we're just passing a proportion of it on to the other municipalities. Phillips now doesn't have a problem with it, you guys do. And so right now, what you're doing is pretty much just holding us, against each other, not paying them, because the money's not going to them. It's not going to be signed if it's considered as half of a payment. And yet these guys are going up into your area and making calls or answering calls. And I don't quite understand how that's fair, or that's right, or ethical, or anything else.
Well, I'm not going to negotiate with you in this forum.
I agree, that's a good idea, and I wouldn't if I were you also.
No, it's a bad place.
But I would also just pass back to your board, we're willing to negotiate. I put that in the letter, in good faith, and if we could get that check without a stipulation that it's for half the payment, that money can go to them, and we can negotiate the second half. The second payment, you can do whatever you want with if you feel so inclined, not to to cooperate or to work with us on that. So I would pass that on. I mean, I did write a letter. I sent it to Bill. I don't know if he passed that on to the rest of the board, but that's where our stance are. And if you guys don't want to negotiate under that term, then we won't, and we'll find another venue to pursue this, because basically I can't see a village not having the responsibility to provide fire protection for their residents.
And that's your opinion.
Yes, oh, absolutely.
And from your side of the table.
Yeah.
And again, I'm not going to negotiate in this forum.
Okay.
If our two boards can meet, that would be great.
Our boards will not meet unless payment is made to the village, to us. It does not stipulate that it's half, and then we can get that money to them, and we could negotiate immediately after that if you'd like. So that's where we're at with that. Anything else
Thank you.
from
Yeah,
you guys?
it's just awkward for us to sit in the middle sometimes, because we just like you said, you wanted us to go through you, so that's why I'm here asking, because, you know, we still need the money regardless, hopefully by the end of the year to continue to operate, so.
We'll do everything we can. I would contact, I would ask, you know, the Nelsonville board if they would, you know, please consider negotiating under those terms. Okay, parking,
We're not done.
You want-
What's that?
We can give you a
Oh,
5-minute
yeah,
side if
okay.
you want.
Listen, I mean, you got my report for fire code, anybody got any questions on them? I don't know.
Just put that time.
When you assist the Phillips Town ambulance, would you,
We assist with cardiac arrest or any type of lift assistance if needed,
what about their crews?
you know, to help carry the patients out of the house or something, whatever, if they need it for manpower.
I'm good. Anyway.
The only other questions I had was two. One was in your spec package for the roof that said, and I know we had a meeting here a while back, and we did say the one thing that we said could not be removed was the antenna.
Mhm.
In the spec package, you have it being removed and replaced or put back. That kind of puts us out of service as a base station with connections with 911. So I don't know how that, you know, what, either a radio company or whatever, I mean, that would take them themselves a few days to dismantle or something like that. So I don't know if that's correctly, where the cables themselves could be one at a time, could be probably removed.
Okay, I wasn't under that impression when I talked to you, so
So-
we'll have to.
Yeah, that was the only thing that was, I mean, that's, unless they want to pay for,
Right.
you know, a communication company in that, which I wouldn't want to, but.
Okay.
The other thing is the siren. What's the status with that? Because I haven't heard from Pedals at all, from nobody, which you guys say.
I've
that's-
contacted him twice and he told me he was going up there twice, so.
You know, I mean, once in a blue moon, you hear it.
Yeah.
You know, I've been working on Parsons Street, one day I hear it at lunchtime, then I don't hear it for 4 days. I don't, you know, so it's like, we don't know exactly, I have no idea what, you know.
I'll contact Andrew one more time tomorrow and just say, can you do it or not? And if not, then we'll just have to do what we have to do.
I don't know, he said he was working there behind the town hall, he told me he would try to contact me and arrange it, but
Right, same what I got. Okay,
So, just checking the status so we know.
all right. I totally dropped that. Last time I talked to him the second time and he said, oh, I forgot, and he was working in that area. Okay, parking, we don't have anything from parking committee. We will be starting that back up. There's a meeting this Thursday at 6 o'clock, chaired by Anthony Phillips. Let's see. Tree advisory, do we have anything?
No, but you have me. No, I apologize for not getting my report in. I am working full-time now, in case you guys haven't noticed. I've been slacking a little bit in my
You were working
volunteer work.
full-time before.
In my free volunteer work for all of you. So, a few updates. As you all have probably seen, the first phase of the tree guards fabrication and installation happened last week for the Main Street beautification test phase 1. We had 6 guards of the 7 that have been sponsored so far installed, and the 7th one is going to go in directly in front of Village Hall, but there was a tree that had to be taken down, so we have to wait for that tree to come out and be replanted, and then we'll install that one. There's been a lot of positive response about it. There's 4 or 5 people have already contacted me interested in sponsoring their own tree guard, so we might have some more to put up soon. Just for those of you who don't know, the tree guards cost between $650 and $1,200. They ain't cheap. But they're, last for a really long time and very well made. People can see what they look like now. We don't have each of the tree guards comes with a sponsorship plaque or a dedication plaque in brass, and those are not installed on these yet, but they will be soon. I'm working with the mayor on finishing the areas around the tree guards that you see now, so there's going to be some brick going in, etc. Details are being worked out. The priority pruning work, which has been months in the making. We marked the trees. And some of the tree markings got taken down by people, and so now I have to go back out volunteer person has to go back out and re-mark them with spray paint now, and then we'll, hopefully by next week, we'll have bids for you guys to approve on taking out those trees that you approved to be taken out.
They'll be started taking down next week, is that right, or not? Or
So you'll
when?
get the numbers next week and
Oh.
get to choose who's gonna do it. I thought about leaving them out for Halloween because they're kind of scary looking, so. We're almost done with our tree walking tour. We have signs that are gonna be going in on trees and a little like brochure that's coming out. We're working on having a joint meeting, I think, this month with the rec commission. I was talking to Bruce about it, just to, because our boards, there's trees in the parks, and our boards sort of should work together a little bit more, and Bruce and I both agree, and so we're gonna meet for 20 minutes and just be on the same page on things, which is good. And, that's about it. A lot of other little things, but that's the really big thing. I don't know if you guys have any questions. But-
I talked to Jack Goldstein today and talked about the chamber maybe getting involved with the beautification beds and the bricks, explain the bricks and kind of the costs. So if you sent me the areas and the amounts
Yeah.
for each, if you could, you have checks.
Yeah,
Yeah, if
send
you
it to
could-
him.
Yeah.
That'd be
So,
great. That'd be
yeah.
wonderful. Okay.
Quick question.
Yeah.
Are they coming out in the wintertime, or are they staying there all year?
No, we're gonna flag them with
Flag 'em on the floor?
the thingies with the, whatever they're called. Yeah, that's in the works. We already talked about that. Yeah, and so we coordinated with Highway before doing this, obviously,
That's it. Thanks a lot for your work.
All right,
Thanks,
thank you.
Jim.
Code update.
Code Update Committee held one meeting in September. The committee continued outline research into the 7 topics in the appearance category. Completed thus far are landscaping within and around parking lot standards, standards for the preservation and restoration of cultural artifacts, standards for 3-story buildings, and fence standards. The committee has completed area and bulk regulation standards and maximum lot coverage and setback standards for R1, R3, B1, B2, B3, B4, B4A. Work continues on NU1 and PR1. The committee continues to make progress on sign standards. The committee now believes that the second public meeting will occur in the October timeframe, and NYSERDA has agreed with that change.
Water, wastewater?
We started to get water first in the package.
Yeah,
Uh,
Yes, we do.
You jumped my, stole my thunder there, Dave, so.
I know, I'm
the
sorry.
long-awaited
So
schematic.
excited.
The long-awaited schematic design report for the Upper Dam Rehabilitation Project. Copies distributed. You guys get to look at it for a while, and whenever you decide for the council presentation, we'll, set that up with Tectonic to come over and give us a presentation. You'll be able to ask any questions that you have on it, and we'll get to see more of their, presentation from them was really gonna highlight what needs to be, as opposed to going through that 211-page, I know I haven't gone all the way through it yet. So when you get a chance, and then we'll discuss when you want to look at that, maybe in a month or so, or a few weeks, whatever you think is enough time to look at it, and we'll set it up. So you tell me.
Maybe we should schedule something now, because otherwise it'll drag on forever.
Yeah, I would think you'd want to do it certainly before, the middle of things, get it done early November maybe, or, whatever works for you guys. We'll make it work for them.
Want to do it first week in November?
I'll run it past them, we'll just email around some dates and just see what fits for everybody, and just get them here for probably an hour or so, we probably more than
Yeah.
Yeah, November 7th.
So that's that, and then the DEP connection, as David mentioned, meeting with Governor Cuomo's regional representative today, he took in a lot of information that's, a lot of it winds up, coming from Barton. He's got the most history on it, he's got more on it than I do, actually. And he put a timeline back all the way to 2011 when the whole thing started. We seem to be doing better at this point in time, but every time you think you're a step up, it's, you get knocked back a step and a half, so. Hopefully they'll be able to facilitate a more acceptable time frame and resolution of the terms in the water supply agreement. We are down to 62.6% storage capacity at the reservoirs, so the hydrant flush I talked about last month won't be happening. It takes about 500,000 gallons of finished water, which is even more in raw water, to be able to do an effective hydrant flush, and I just don't want to don't wanna take that chance. It's starting to rain now, it seems like it's gonna, like the rain we just got over the weekend, we've already closed all the valves, and now the brook's gonna carry us probably for the better part of a week. So if we get this kind of precipitation, it'll be enough to, we can, start catching up with the reservoirs, but we didn't wanna go with the flush at this point in time. All right, any questions on water? Wastewater, Metro Market Street Pump Station Replacement Project. Last month's mention of the necessary permit from Metro North, which allows us to begin work, has prompted the need for a change order in the contract with King's Capital Construction. Initial discussions with Metro North, which was years ago, did not include the need for inspections by the railroad. So no escrow would have been necessary. They've since changed their minds and will have to process a change order in the amount of $6,562.50, which I've attached. Now, I didn't have it in the agenda tonight, so it's just there for you guys to look at and decide when you want to go at it. It's not a, time-sensitive thing, but whenever you discuss that and want to move that forward, that would be good. And the contractor's been submitting shop drawings for review and hopes to begin construction in early November. As David mentioned, the Clean Water Fund grant, got a phone conversation, I guess, that notified us that we had about $215,000 coming, which is, it's great. The two projects between the Fair Street relining and the Market Street project put us at like 480-ish, somewhere around there, 488. So, 215 of that is a real nice chunk, and we're not used to getting grants, so that's really good stuff. And then the blower building, we had a meeting yesterday, Bart and myself, to finalize the rough openings for doors and equipment. We are hoping construction will begin later this month. Got to talk to our contractor.
Greg, this is in the date and reporting month of, are those incorrect?
I'm sorry, which is what?
The date and the reporting month of?
Oh, sure, yeah, I missed that. That happens.
Okay, so,
Usually don't start drinking later. Yeah.
Greg, do you know how long the Market Street Pump Station project will last once they started?
The meat of it is only gonna be a month and a half, 2 months, once they take it out of the ground, the new stuff's going right back in. So it takes longer to stage it and set it up than it's gonna take to actually do the really big stuff, the big work. But then you can also guarantee that by the time it's winter, there won't be, any paving available, so that something's gonna wait until spring, for finalization and whatnot. But the meat of the work is only a couple of months maximum, once they can get on site and really just, get at it, so.
So they're hoping that we're not gonna get early snow this year.
Yeah.
do you want to do Mary next?
Have you ever talked to anybody else that's trying to make a DEP connection that is experiencing this?
We can go 5 minutes.
And it's 6 years.
Yeah, and there aren't a lot, there's some case study, I think town of Cornwall had actually gotten into a lawsuit over what they'd been put through to get their connection.
Right.
It's just that once you open that can of worms, how much longer is it gonna take?
Yeah.
So,
Right, I mean, you don't want to try and push them around, obviously. But
Yeah.
I was just wondering if you,
hopefully, and the other part about it really is, it's frustrating the most, is we only really need this for the construction projects that that we're gonna have. And then it's only used for drought, and we've used it twice in 20 years that I've been here. So, and it's only been for a few weeks. So it's not like that, we're not on our main supply. It's not intended to be, and so we kind of get beat up and spend a lot of money for, the
we
ability to
have
have.
to do it, but.
So, yes, you have to do it, but I mean, it's just, it would be nice if they didn't treat us like we had, deep pockets.
Right.
So,
Thanks, Greg. Building department, new building permit, applications 8, building permits issued 5, dumpster permits 2, COs 2, title searches 5, complaints received 4, referrals generated HDRB 5, ZBA 1, and planning 1. Fees for the month of September, total collected $2,614.75. Highway?
You want me to read it?
Yeah, sure.
Excuse me. Highway Department monthly report for September, garbage picked up 49.3 tons, recycling picked up 20.9 tons, made repairs to our 1988 yellow dump truck, repainted crosswalk on Main Street by the village office, painted 2 new crosswalks on Main Street, one from Church Street to Furnace Street, another from Kemble Avenue to Garden Street. Painted yellow no parking next to the crosswalks on Main Street and yellow no parking when you first turn onto Rock Street by the crosswalk. Cut grass that the village is responsible for, resurfaced 6 stop signs, put up no parking this side signs across from the sewer plant and no parking anytime in front of the sewer plant. Put up 3 new signs in the municipal parking lot that shows you can use your mobile device to pay for parking. Leaf and yard debris pickup, went and got 4 tons of blacktop and repaired spots that needed to be done around the village. There was a spot on Paulding Avenue in front of Mayor's Park, patched around the manhole at sewer plant, patched by Downey Oil, patched a spot at the highway garage. And the next leaf and debris pickup is next Wednesday, October 18th.
And then it's going to be every week after that, right? For
No.
that's what
This
That's
is
what Charlie said.
I missed that one, okay, I haven't heard that yet.
I think it's every Wednesday for the
I'll check with
for the
you.
fall months.
Dave, just a question. Do you know how long the tree companies are gonna be staying here still?
Oh, I don't know. Every time I go down there, I'm surprised they're still there. I don't know.
Because I know we have 2 cars from the police department still to, cut up, we'd like to try to get them done before the winter, so they're all out of
Cut
there.
up one of the trucks.
Well, we went to move it down there, Charlie was for us, and he says, next thing you knew, the tree company was back. So I
Okay.
didn't know if they had arrangements.
I'll
through
go with
you
him.
guys.
I'll have to, we'll have to put a note on it. I don't know how they got permission to park there. I guess Charlie said go ahead. The trucks, stop signs, little discussion there reminded me that, what was at the meeting regarding the stop sign, or no parking signs along 9D, with Scenic Hudson and DOT, and they said they'd get back to us, and it was like a month or so, and we didn't hear anything from them. So evidently she sent the information to the Beacon mayor and not me for approval. So I just, signed off on that. They just sent it was just a diagram where they're putting no parking, but it's just on the east side, going from the new parking lot going to Cornish's, all the way to Cornish's. So but they didn't address from Stony Point Visitor Center to Fair Street, which I was hoping they would have done on the east side.
I know one of the meetings up at the town hall, they said that was in the requesting,
It was we requested that, but I don't think that wasn't in the information they sent.
I thought Richard and the state woman, Linda, said Evan said that's where the signs were gonna be.
I hope they're on both sides. But anyway. Police report, finally. Sorry, Larry.
Sorry, I gotta get ahead of you guys. Number of calls for the month of September were 59. We had approximately 60 summonses written. 41 were parking summonses, and 19 were moving summonses. We had 1 arrest, an MLH arrest. I've explained in the past what that is, the mental health law. So we had 1 for the month. The open cases are still being investigated. The 2 burglaries that we've had in the village over the past couple of months is still being investigated by the Putnam County Sheriff's Office. Nothing new to report on that. They will let me know if anything comes up. What else did I have? We had the Oktoberfest. That was a nice surprise, not surprise, but nice hit for everybody. We had no incidents reported. Everybody got home safely. There was nothing to report with any summonses or loud noises or anything like that. So that we did very well there. You just had mentioned about the parking committee meeting on Thursday. We had discussed, me and Dave, about me going to at least 1 or 2 of those meetings to discuss certain areas of parking in the village. I have no problem doing that. Unfortunately, this Thursday I just found out I do have another meeting, so I can't make that one.
Okay.
But I want to work with them on a bunch of things going on in the village, some ideas that we can have going forward. We had a lockdown. This is not for the month of September, but we had a lockdown drill in Haldane on Friday, I believe it was, Thursday, Friday. There was multiple agencies. It was Putnam County Sheriff, Cold Spring, State Police, And I believe there was one other that I'm missing right now. It might have been, there's one I'm missing right now, but we had the dogs go in, we had the drug sniffing dogs actually go in also. Basically, it's a whole drill. God forbid we have to use it for a lockdown for Haldane. Went off very well with the new sheriff that's assigned up there. Paul Piazza has been moved on. He was promoted to investigator, so now it's Charlie Johnson that I'm just getting familiar with about dealing with the students and stuff going on there. There will hopefully be at least another 4 this year done in the school that we're shooting for. It seems to be a lot. I mean, if we get 4, it'd be great, but I'm working with them on those issues that we have. Other than that, I don't think I have anything else. I still would like to work on the website, on the village website, for a possibly just like a police part of it, where they can contact us, our emails. Besides the phone number upstairs, I'm thinking of putting the cell phone that we carry on duty that every officer has. It's a job cell phone that we give to each other when we relieve each other, so that the villagers, or people, the residents, I should say, don't have to call 911 in the sheriff's office. The sheriff's office would have to call us for, like, say, a parking complaint or a sick animal or something that's non-emergency. That they would basically say, if it's an emergency, call 911. For any other small incidents, they can call the phone direct to the officer on duty. This way we can respond to that.
Can they also text you? Does
I-
everybody have a smartphone?
With that phone, I gotta take a look into that, but that would also be something I would like to have a look into going forward. Shoot a quick text, hey, I'm at 25 Market, this is what's going on down here, can you come by? Car blocking, whatever, would make it so much easier for us and not to tie up any other phone lines anywhere else. Because I know there was a couple of things mentioned that I saw out in public media, that we're never in the office, they can't get a hold of us, which, if we're in the office and you call us in the office, there's a problem, because we're out patrolling. We're part-time, we should not be in the office sitting there waiting for somebody to call. But I know that was an issue that a resident or somebody, a business owner, had put out there. With that, I think that's it.
Thanks a lot, Larry.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Justice Court report, fines, forfeited bail and civil penalties, 3,300. Parking tickets, 3,454. Civil fees, 105. Mandatory state surcharge, 2,064. Total of $8,923. Submitted respectfully, Thomas J. Costello. Anything from my fellow board members? Brent? No. Rick?
I have just a little something.
Okay.
Just a little something. I was contacted by one of the parent coordinators at Manitou School,
Mhm.
that the Manitou kids were impressed by the recycling bins that the Julia Butterfield Library kids
nice.
did, and they want to do a project like that too. So I'm looking to procure some more 55-gallon barrels for them. If anybody knows, I've contacted Charlie Norton. They're looking around for some.
Okay. Yeah, I thought we had a contact.
Yeah, I thought so too.
Yeah. Okay.
But they're interested in doing recycling and trash cans for Dockside.
For Dockside or for the river front? Because I sent her a note saying.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, because Dockside isn't our property, so
Right.
I'm not coordinating something for that.
That's true.
Yeah. But I told her if they were interested in the riverfront, that would be welcome.
That would be excellent too.
We've already got like 17 down there.
No, there's ones that are in the front, there's like a few that could be redone, that there's just.
Oh, could be, yes, you're right, yes.
Not the ones that are on the dock, the others.
You're right.
On the entrance on both sides.
Yeah.
We could put 30 at Moo-Moo's and it still gets filled.
Mhm.
Okay, so follow up and, or just, let her know that we're interested, but if
I
it
will.
has to be to the front, or if they'd like to do something for Main Street, if we can find them. I'm more than happy.
I'll follow up on that.
Okay, next is approval for HDR recommendation for planning engineering services by AKRF for 35 Market Street. Revisions satisfy concerns of applicant.
and the applicant has reviewed, the applicant's architect has reviewed the revision and recommends approval of the revision. So I'd like to make a motion to approve the HDR recommendation for 35 Market Street with revision. The revision as noted here, which is October 4th.
I'll second that. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Correspondence, we have a request from Jen Zorick to hold a dedication ceremony at Tots Park. Is that in here?
It is.
Through the-
Last
Wrong fingers. Let's see, Dear Village Board and Recreation Commission, on behalf of her family, I would like to obtain permission to hold a small public ceremony in McConville Park on Saturday, November 4th, 2017 to 10 a.m. The ceremony is in remembrance of a local resident, Jody Verdico, did I pronounce that right, who passed away last spring, leaving her loving husband and 2 sons, a current Haldane student and a recent Haldane grad, behind. The ceremony would take approximately 15 minutes, and we expect 10 to 20 people in attendance. It will consist of a dedication of a small plaque 6 inches by 14 inches embedded in a flat stone lying approximately at grade at the base of a newly donated tree. There will be no equipment and no sound system. This is a quiet public gathering in a public park. It will not interfere with other uses of the park. Tree Advisory Board is coordinating the supervising the species, planting, and location of the donated tree as they would any such donation. Jody was well known by many parents, babysitters, and children who spent any time in the last decade at Tots Park. She loved the playground where she brought her own kids when they were little. More recently, she was familiar presence there, accompanying many of the children of our community for whom she cared in her part-time capacity as a professional caregiver. Her birthday would have been November 1st. So I will make a motion to approve the dedication request from Jennifer Zwark.
Second that.
Any further? All in favor? Next is approval of bills. There was one added, so we have batch 3416 and 4319. So
Yes. I move that we approve batch number 3416 for a total of $45,000, $45,060.48.
I will second that. All in favor?
Aye. Additionally, I would like to move that we approve batch number 4319 for $151,832.80.
I will second that. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
We do have that one last thing which we can do if you'd like, the plaque, which was not on the agenda. But I see a familiar face, and we do have the photo here.
Oh, good, you got the email I sent today?
Yeah.
Great, thanks.
I think we're almost there.
I'm feeling that. I'm glad you are too.
Now, the only thing, well, I was talking to Lynn, the only thing is that just on this, I mean, I like this and all this, I'm not, or is there a space constraint in why this is? It seems like there should be space between here and there, and maybe this should be 2 lines.
Oh, once I get
Just this is the only
everybody
thing.
in agreement to the wording,
Uh-huh.
with the wording and whatever.
Oh, okay.
Then I'll go to the vendor. Well, first I go to my family.
Okay.
So I don't keep going to them and then say, well, we're gonna do this instead. Get that consensus, then I'll go to the vendor and say, how can you make this proportional, make it fit? That's what my computer could do,
Okay,
so you're limited by my space.
okay, okay.
One of the things that we had talked about, if you can put this on 2 lines, but really focus the second line on Francis C. and Imogen J. Dale, right there, that would really focus the attention on these are important people of our community that have done an important thing.
Okay, so you're feeling like a second line
A
would
second
make
line,
sense?
maybe,
Mhm.
if it would fit with the lettering and everything.
Okay.
A second line with just their names underneath there, I think would be good. And then we also requested that you take the period out after due grandchildren. There's a period right there. See that?
Got it.
Okay?
Is there a?
Is that really just, that's it?
I
is
think
there
that's
one-
it.
One fast,
Anything else?
Go right ahead.
is there another word other than formed?
I had erected and established and all that, so I'm happy to use whatever, well, let me hear what other suggestions you
Bandstand
have.
was erected in the musical society.
Established was what was original.
I think,
If we're using two lines, then I
think
certainly have room to
established.
put that back
Formed-
in.
Formed for
Right.
for the Cold Spring community sounds sort of strange, I think. I like established better, but that's,
Me too.
The original wording was
Shorten it a
the
little bit.
bandstand erected and the society established, but I was trying to get it all in.
Okay. Why
And
don't
so
we-
if we're doing two lines, I can certainly put that wording back without a problem.
I like the
Send that
band-
to my family, hopefully get everybody to say, okay, and then go to the vendor. They said it would, the vendors that I talked to said it's probably gonna be at least a couple of months to get, once we place an order. So,
Can they
we
do a
either
quick,
can
can they do a quick proof for you?
well, but they got tired of my saying, how about this, how about that?
Well, we're fine
Started to say,
with-
we're gonna charge you for the next month.
Well, we're fine, I
so-
think everyone's fine with everything as far
Yeah.
as wording and the photo and everything to go. We just, you know, how it's gonna be laid out. I mean, if he could just do a proof.
Oh, a final proof, for sure.
Yeah.
And then I'll ask the family about whether we might make it 2018 instead of 2017.
yeah, because I would,
And because we're not putting it up now, it's winter time. Earliest we would get it back is winter. But again, I need to see what that's all
Okay.
about.
So we change establish, we take out the period and see what you can do is design wise. One line definitely doesn't look
Oh,
good.
I agree, it looks terrible.
Okay. Any other comments?
Was that a bronze marker or something?
What's that?
It's gonna be bronze?
yes,
Yes.
bronze for granite.
Okay.
Okay, so I can go ahead and make those changes, send it to the family.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I'll send it back to you one more time, and then I'll send it to the vendor, just in case they do get charged. We have two vendors I would like to get quotes from, so the family can feel like we were competitive.
Oh.
Yeah, I think you'd like to, I mean, I think you would like to see a, you know, a proof of it
absolutely.
before you go ahead with it anyway.
But as I
And I'm
said-
sure they'll do the spacing.
They were a little frustrated with me.
Okay.
For new images. So, all right, well, thank you.
Good to
I
know.
really appreciate your help and your participation.
Thank you.
Thanks.
I will let you know as soon as I
Yes,
know.
there's a change.
Okay, we have a change, Marie.
Michelle went back to UPS and was able to get the bill down to $24 and change instead of $150 and
Go,
change.
Michelle.
So Lynn would like to make a motion.
Yes, I would like to make a motion to amend the approval for batch number 3416. So the new total would be for $44,935.52.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Good work, Michelle.
Yes, nice work, Michelle. One other thing, Greg gave us at the beginning of the meeting, a change order that addresses the issue that he identified in his report about the Market Street Pump Station replacement project, which requires an additional $6,562.50.
Rip off.
Pardon me? So, it seems to me that we should be able to approve this tonight. This is establishing an escrow account for that amount. So I make a motion that we approve that change to the contract price for the Main Street Pump Station replacement project.
I'll second that.
Thank you for
Well, we're approving the escrow, right?
Yes,
Escrow.
yes.
Giving you to sign it. I just don't know where you was home.
Except the
I-
owner.
I don't know, well, yes, that would be you as owner.
So appointing you to sign it.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Anyone from the audience? Please.
Hello, audience.
When did you get word on this Butterfield lawsuit matter with Laurel?
I would say 2-3 weeks ago.
Yeah, about 2 weeks.
2 weeks ago.
What brings this to pass?
Brings what to pass?
That he's dropping it?
We didn't ask.
You can ask him.
Yeah.
Uh,
Ask them why
I
he
don't know.
brought it in the first place.
We've been giving them all the information they requested. They foiled everything. They had Miss Villanova down here looking through all of our documents forever.
Emails as well.
Boxes and boxes of them, and which she's still gonna continue to do, I guess. They're still looking at, but, I don't think they found anything. So, there's nothing to find, so they can't find anything. I don't know what they were finding. So anyway, there was no evidence, and I believe that's why it was dropped, so. Hopefully, that's the end of it. It does leave it open that they can at some later time. Yeah, there's a time limit, but I don't know what that is.
It's running out, and John said it is running out, so.
Anyway, it's good news. I don't know why. I would imagine that if they had something, that they would continue to sue, but I don't think there's any hard evidence or something that would compel the judge to actually allow it to go further.
So I make a motion, we adjourn.
I will second that. All in favor?
She did.